Alamein itself was an inconsequential railway station on the coast. Some 16 kilometers to the south lay the Ruisat Ridge, a low stony prominence that gave excellent observation for many miles over the surrounding desert. 32 kilometers to the south was the Qatar Depression. The line the British chose to defend stretched between the sea and the depression. Which meant that Rommel could outflank it only by taking a significant detour to the south and crossing the Sahara Desert. The British Army in Egypt recognized this before the war and had the 8th Army begin construction of several boxes localities with dugouts and surrounded by minefields and barbed wire, the most developed being around the railway station at Alamein. The first and strongest, at El Alamein on the coast, had been partly wired and mined by 1st South African Division. The British position in Egypt was desperate. The route from Mersa Matruh had created a panic in the British headquarters at Cairo, something later called the flap. At British headquarters, rear echelon units and the British Embassy, papers were hurriedly burned in anticipation of the fall of the city. Defensive positions were constructed west of Alexandria and on the approaches to Cairo, while considerable areas in the Nile Delta were flooded. The Axis, too, believed that the capture of Egypt was imminent. Italian leader Benito Mussolini, sensing a historic moment, flew to Libya to prepare for his triumphal entry into Cairo. On June 30th, Rommel's Panzer Army Africa approached the Alamein position. The Axis forces were exhausted and under strength. Rommel had driven them forward ruthlessly, being confident that, provided he struck quickly before 8th Army had time to settle, his momentum would take him through the Alamein position, and he could then advance to the Nile with little further opposition. Supplies remained a problem because the Axis staff had originally expected a pause of 6 weeks after the capture of Tobruk. German air units were also exhausted and providing little help against the RAFs. All-out attack on the Axis supply lines, which with the arrival of United States Army Air Force's heavy bombers, could reach as far as Benghazi. Although captured supplies proved useful, water and ammunition were constantly in short supply. While a shortage of transport impeded the distribution of the supplies that the Axis forces did have. Rommel's plan was for the 90th Light Division and the 15th and 21st Panzer Divisions of the Afrika Korps to penetrate the 8th Army lines between the Alamein Box and Deir el-Abayah. The 90th Light Division was then to veer north to cut the coastal road and trap the defenders of the Alamein Box, and the Afrika Korps would veer right to attack the rear of 13th Corps. An Italian division was to attack the Alamein Box from the west, and another was to follow the 90th Light Division. The Italian 20th Corps was to follow the Afrika Korps. Difficulties had resulted in a day's delay, vital to the defending forces reorganizing on the Alamein line. At 3 o'clock on July 1st, 90th Light Infantry Division advanced east but strayed too far north and ran into the first shine. 18th Indian Infantry Brigade, supported by 23 25-pounder gun 16 of the new 6-pounder anti-tank guns and 9 Matilda tanks. Came under artillery fire from the 3 South African brigade groups and was forced to dig in. On July 2nd, Rommel ordered the resumption of the offensive. Once again, 90th Light failed to make progress, so Rommel called the Afrika Korps to abandon its planned sweep southward and instead joined the effort to break through to the coast road by attacking east toward Ruisat Ridge. The British defense of Ruisat Ridge relied on an improvised formation called Rob Call. Comprising a regiment each of field artillery and light anti-aircraft artillery, and 22nd Armored Brigade, the 21st Panzer Division respectively. They drove back repeated attacks by the Axis armor, who then withdrew before dusk. The British reinforced Ruisat on the night of July 2nd. The now enlarged Rob Call became Wall Group. Meanwhile, the Royal Air Force made heavy air attacks on the Axis units. The next day, July 3rd, Rommel ordered the Afrika Korps to resume its attack on the Ruisat Ridge with the Italian 20th Motorized Corps on its southern flank. Italian 10th Corps, meanwhile, were to hold El Mrare. By this stage, the Afrika Korps had only 26 operational tanks. There was a sharp armored exchange south of Ruisat Ridge during the morning, and the main Axis advance was held. On July 3rd, the RAF flew 780 sorties. To relieve the pressure on the right and center of the 8th Army line. The 13th Corps on the left advanced from the Katara box. The plan was that the New Zealand 2nd Division, with the remains of Indian 5th Division and 7th Motor Brigade under its command, would swing north to threaten the Axis flank and rear. This force encountered the 132nd Armored Division, RE's artillery, which was driving on the southern flank of the division as it attacked Ruisat. The Italian commander ordered his battalions to fight their way out independently, but the RE lost 531 men, 36 pieces of artillery, 6 tanks, and 55 trucks. By the end of the day, the RE division had only 5 tanks. The day ended once again with the Afrika Korps and RE coming off second best to the superior numbers of the British 22nd Armoured and 4th Armoured Brigades. frustrating Rommel's attempts to resume his advance. The RAF once again played its part, flying 900 sorties during the day. To the south, on July 5th the New Zealand group resumed its advance northwards towards Elmrare, intending to cut the rear of the RE Division. Heavy fire from the Italian 27th Infantry Division, Brescia, at Elmrare, however, 5 miles north of the Katara Box, checked their progress and led the 13th Corps to call off its attack. At this point, Rommel decided his exhausted forces could make no further headway without resting and regrouping. He reported to the German High Command that his 3 German divisions numbered just 1,200 to 1,500 men each, and resupply was proving highly problematic because of enemy interference from the air. He expected to have to remain on the defensive for at least 2 weeks. Rommel was by this time suffering from the extended length of his supply lines. The Allied Desert Air Force was concentrating fiercely on his fragile and elongated supply routes, while British mobile columns moving west and striking from the south were causing havoc in the Axis rear echelons. Rommel could afford these losses even less since shipments from Italy had been substantially reduced. Meanwhile, the 8th Army was reorganizing and rebuilding, benefiting from its short lines of communication. By July 4th, the Australian 9th Division had entered the line in the north. On July 8th, elements of the German 164th Light Division and Italian 101st Motorized Division, Trieste, arrived to plug the gap torn in the Axis defenses. That afternoon and evening, tanks from the German 15th Panzer and Italian Trieste divisions launched counterattacks against the Australian positions, the counterattacks failing in the face of overwhelming Allied artillery and the Australian anti-tank guns. On July 12th, the 21st Panzer Division launched a counterattack against Trig 33 and Point 24, which was beaten off after a 2-hour fight, with more than 600 German dead and wounded left strewn in front of the Australian positions. The next day, the 21st Panzer Division launched an attack against Point 33 and South African positions in the El Alamein Box. In the El Alamein Box, the Royal Durban Light Infantry faced the full force of the German attacks. The attack was halted by intense artillery fire from the defenders.